If they do that, they're going to be very, 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 very tough to beat.
Wilson! Oh! And we are tied!
Let's go! Call them five slamma jamma.
And I don't ever let them forget where we come from.
Getting those phones out. Report me acting ignorant.
Deyon Chris got his way through, and he may go! Chris is in! Houston leads out of nowhere!
Seventh heaven for Houston. The Cougars advance to their seventh Final Four.
Go Cougs! Let's go! It's so good! The dream remains alive for the Houston Cougars!
Welcome into another edition of the Potsdamer Jamma podcast on this Wednesday night. Joining me tonight, Kenneth Bowman of Coog TV, here to preview some U of H and Oklahoma State football this upcoming Saturday morning and 11 a.m. kickoff on TNT. We're going to get a first-hand look to see what the TNT Big 12 broadcast looks like. So far, I hear great things when it comes to TNT's production with the Big 12, so we're going to get to see a first-hand experience. Already seeing some comments about what they've been doing following around UH, so excited to see what they put together in that package. But before we get into the matchup, Kenneth, first and foremost, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Andy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Let's get into it, because when we're talking about Houston, they suffered their first loss of the season this past Saturday against a really, really good Texas Tech team that is now top 10 in the AP poll, the 9th ranked team in the country in the Red Raiders. And, they came into TDSU Stadium and, for the lack of a better word, they dominated. They showed why they were ranked so highly in that matchup this past Saturday. Now Houston gets a chance to dust themselves off and defeat an Oklahoma State team that is heading in the opposite direction. They're 1-4 on a season, winless in Big 12 conference play, and they've already fired their head coach. So this is a Cowboys team that's clearly heading in a different direction compared to last week's opponent, and hopefully Houston is able to capitalize and again atone for their loss against Texas Tech this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah, I agree, Andy. Houston, they just took their first loss of the season to the number 11 ranked team, like you said. I think we kind of learned a lot about the team, how good they are, who they are. There's still lots of questions to be answered with this Houston football team. Oklahoma State, they're 1-4. They had a bunch of really bad losses. They gave up 69 points to Oregon. That's just unheard of from, two Power 4 teams going against each other. Houston has to go up there to Stillwater and handle business like any other week. I'm expecting they can get the job done, just handling this Oklahoma State team.
You mentioned that 69 points that they gave up against, granted, a really good Oregon team as well, but 69-3, that was just atrocious. And when you look at a lot of these numbers, they've given up so far in Big 12 play. They gave up 45 points to Baylor, 41 points to Arizona. So Houston, again, especially coming off this past game against Texas Tech, a really good defense. They really punished Houston. Defensively, the offense obviously couldn't get much going for most of the night, with the exception of that one drive right before halftime that ended in the Amari Thomas touchdown. This is going to be a great opportunity for Houston, regardless of who's under center, and I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit later on in the show. Obviously, the big news for Houston heading into this game. But again, to get some confidence back about themselves and really shake off that loss. Now, when it comes to Houston, the big story of the game heading into this matchup is on the quarterback, and specifically with Connor Wegman, what his health status is. Quite frankly, we didn't know anything about it during the game. After the game, head coach Willie Fritz kept it very ambiguous, And then on Monday, it was revealed that he was in concussion protocol. What can you tell us about Connor Wegman, how he's progressing so far, and if it's expected that he's out there with Houston on Saturday morning?
Yeah, so like you said, on Saturday, Connor Whitman went out in that second quarter, and Zion Chris came and took his spot. It was reported to be an upper body injury, and then we weren't told anything else until Monday, which Coach Fisher felt it was he was in concussion protocol, and he's confident in Connor's progression that he'll be available this Saturday. Connor Wigman participated today in practice. He spoke to the media after practice, and he basically said he's done everything. He's participating, so it's looking like they're going to have Connor Wigman available on Saturday, and it's looking like he'll be starting usually in his usual position.
Kenneth, when we talk about what went wrong with the Houston offense, again, you got to tip your hat, because a lot of it is Texas Tech, how good they were. But really, Houston, so I felt like the game, this could very well be an overreaction, but I feel like the game kind of got decided early in the first quarter when Texas Tech was up 9-0. Connor Wegman delivers that big pass to Kobe Young. They get in the red zone. They have a chance to punch it in, go-to-goal situation, and they are unable to convert, have to settle for a field goal. And yes, it's 9-3 at that point. It's still, within striking distance, but I think right there that was kind of a big blow. And obviously after that, Texas Tech kind of imposed its will. And before Connor Wegman even got injured, they had a 20-point lead heading into what seemed full control of that outing. What do you feel were really the struggles when it came to this Houston offense against the Red Raiders?
I mean, it's kind of what we've been seeing all year long. They've been struggling to move the ball. Offensive line isn't playing its best. I mean, even the first play of the game when they threw the lateral backward pass, whatever it was, and it was a fumble. And it kind of they weren't ever to ever get going. I feel like from just the first snap of the game, and the script is already ruined. So, and especially against a team like Texas Tech, when you have your first 15 plays, whatever script, and it's just you're off script already on the first drive of the game. That's not really a confidence builder, and I think just that was just the beginning of a downward spiral that we saw throughout the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then again, it got compounded by the Connor Wegman injury. He got plastered on that final play before he ultimately went out, which, like you mentioned, it's been kind of a big area of concern for Houston, even early on when they had a little bit of the offensive struggles, which, again, when we're talking about this upcoming game against Oklahoma State, hopefully it's a chance for Houston to kind of exercise a few demons that they saw in that Texas Tech game. And like I mentioned, this Oklahoma State defense, I should say, really, really atrocious when you just look at the stat numbers. And, I mean, they've only – the two games where they didn't give up 40-plus points were against a Tulsa team in the American Athletic Conference. That, again, it's not like they're turning it up in the AAC. And then UT Martin, too, their only win of the season, which – again, not to throw anything against UT Martin, but you to quote a U of H coach, you could kind of call them Sasquatch State, and no one will really notice a difference when it comes to UT Martin. So they have struggled against Power 4 teams, and again, this is a get-right game for Houston, which is kind of crazy to think about. And a Big 12 conference game for Houston, think about where the Cougars were 2 years ago. But in the meantime, I want to keep the focus on Houston, though, because this is an opportunity for them to not let this kind of spiral compound. I'm very curious and interested to see how the team bounces back from their first loss of the season. You were in the post-game press conference after the game when they lost to Texas Tech, and when we heard from Control Webb, and really it seemed like Control Webb specifically, you could tell that loss bothered him. It was eating away at him just how the game went. I'm just curious to see how overall the team responds, especially to the defense, because there was a couple of drives down there. Granted, they were able to bend a lot, but ultimately Texas Tech was too much. They started pouring it on a little bit, to end the first half. I'm curious to see how the defense comes out and they look. And this is an Oklahoma State team that, again, even offensively, they're not doing anything that stands out. This could be a big opportunity for Houston's defense as well to, shake off the cobwebs from Texas Tech as well.
Yeah, definitely. After that game, I mean, Kentrell Webb, he wasn't happy after that game. I think he led the team. He led the defense in tackles that against Tech, but you can tell by the just his demeanor and how he was responding in the press conference. He wasn't happy with the performance of the team. He wasn't happy with the loss. I mean, no one's going to be happy when you lose. So I think the team was. I mean, this was an exciting matchup for Houston. I mean, they wanted to win, and Houston blew home sellout, and it was. I mean, I think it's just a disappointment with the team, but also that their mentality is they're going to bounce back, and this is a good opportunity for them to bounce back against Oklahoma State. Just because that's a struggling team, they're not doing much on either side of the ball, and this is just a team to, like you said, get right, and really maybe tap into some things that we haven't seen yet this year.
Heading into this game, what's some of the messaging the head coach Willie Fritz and some of the players have said specifically about Oklahoma State, or what kind of the conversation has been like heading into this game? Is it more of has it been more of a Houston focus, like, oh, we got to clean this up, we got to do this and this, or are there specific things that they have mentioned to look out for when it comes to Oklahoma State leading up to this game?
I know specifically Willie Fritz. I mean, he's kind of taking the blame for the loss. He says he hasn't really done much, or not done much. He didn't do enough to prepare his team for the game against Tech. Obviously, they didn't go out and execute on the field Saturday, and also another message is just kind of just to move on. He says don't get too high, don't get too high on success, and don't get too low on losses, because when you don't have the right mentality, it carries over into the next week. So I'm sure they went over it Monday. They watched their film. They seen what they did, and then they're moving on to the next opponent. And I just expect them to just continue that mindset throughout the rest of the year.
Looking at Oklahoma State's just numbers offensively, like, geez, it is ugly. Just looking at their quarterback room, Zane Flores leads them in passing yards, but he has yet to throw a passing touchdown this season. 0 passing touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and I just look at it top to bottom, especially to see where they were just a couple seasons ago. The fall from grace that Oklahoma State has had in such a short amount of time is honestly a little jarring, but not to disrespect Oklahoma State, but this is very much on the Cougars. Like, they got to go out there, they got to take care of business, and especially if they got Connor Wegman back, and hopefully he's healthy, and we don't see him play with any reservations, which based from what we've seen from Connor, if he's out there on the field, he's going to be giving it his 100%. So I don't expect that to be an issue. But again, this is an opportunity where kind of getting that old mentality or changing the narrative in terms of the old Houston, because in previous teams, sometimes there might be a hangover effect from a loss like Texas Tech. To kind of put that, shake it to the side. Listen, it's in the past. We're going on to Oklahoma State. We're going to take care of business, and then we're on to the next opponent after that. This is a little bit of a test as well, just in terms of going back to the cliches about Houston culture and all that, but just kind of see what kind of true imprint and fingerprints Willie Fritz has over this program. Because like you said, that's definitely been the message from the coaching staff. Listen, it happened. It's in the past. We're on to the next opponent. Even when Houston was 4-0 heading into Texas Tech, or even before that, Willie Fritz's message, right? Never get too high after a win. Don't get too low after a loss. I'm going to be curious to see if we actually get to see that out on the field and we don't have any hangover effect. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I've heard Oklahoma State might be rolling out a wide receiver at quarterback. So, that's going to be interesting. I mean, I just had a question for you, Andy. I mean, is it fair to say that, I mean, we still have there's lots to be desired just on what Connor Wigman and the offense have put out on tape?
Oh, I think most definitely, for sure, especially when we're talking about Uh, I mean, even against Stephen F. Holston, they won 27-0, and we knew right out the gate a lot of Houston fans were not satisfied with the offensive performance in that game. And then against Rice, it was really ugly until the last play in the first half, and then even Oregon State, right there, Houston had to pull off that comeback, but until with before 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, that Houston offense was getting manhandled. Both, I mean, even the defensive line was getting manhandled in stretches throughout that game against Oregon State, but the offensive line in particular was definitely losing the battle in the trenches against the Beavers until the final 6 minutes of that game, and then Houston was able to catch lightning in a bottle and go on and put on a total performance. Right now, the only outlier has been against Colorado, and even then, it was far from perfect. There were several instances where Houston could have capitalized and finished a few more drives with touchdowns instead of field goals. Credit Ethan Sanchez because they have one hell of a kicker who went out there and was able to keep Houston's offense afloat by converting on a few long kicks. But most definitely, outside of that Colorado performance, I feel like there's still this Houston offense in particular has not been able to put together a consistent performance. And I think so far, just looking at conference play, Oklahoma State very well could be the weakest defense that Houston has played. And I think that's going to be an opportunity again to go out there, showcase like, hey, we're more of Colorado in that game against Colorado. That's going to be what we're trying to put together rather than what we have seen in some of their non-conference games, and most definitely what we saw last week against Texas Tech. Now, granted, it's not ideal when you have Zion Chris come into the game and really be limited and just either the confidence that the coaching staff had in him or just limited in terms of what he was able to do in that second half. But even when Connor Wegman was in the game, they were really outside of that big play with Kobe Young. They were really being manhandled regardless. So that's definitely going to be something that they have to prove. Again, go out there and show, listen, we're more Colorado. We have that to be more consistent about. And we're gonna see what kind of finish this Houston team will have to the season. Are they more of a 6-6, 7-5 team, or could they potentially be an 8-4, 9-3 team? I think we're gonna learn that by how they come out against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think a lot of people had them at 7-5. I mean, I heard that Houston has probably 2 or 3 more losses on their schedule. I mean, which I somewhat agree with. I don't see them losing 6 games just when you look down the line. I mean, because after this game they have Arizona. They're sitting at 4-1, but also they haven't. We don't really know how good that Arizona team. So that's also going to be another test for the Cougars. If they can come out and get a win over Arizona for their homecoming game, then you got to travel to ASU on the road. I think that's a tough one. I'm not really sure they can get
Yes.
that. Yeah.
That one, if we're talking just on paper right now, that's definitely one that you pencil in as a loss, currently sitting October 8th.
Yeah. And I mean, but just going back to the Tech game, I mean, Connor Wickman just really wasn't comfortable out there. Just his
Yeah.
line. I mean, then Texas Tech has a great D line, so I mean, it would only make sense. But the offensive line, there was so many breakdowns in pass pro. Connor, he wasn't necessarily feeling comfortable enough to give the ball to his guys where he needs to put it at. A lot of passes behind, a lot of passes low. I mean, I've even seen they should just consider, resting Connor this week and let Zion, you know. But I mean, I feel like it's at the question: does the staff trust Zion to go get them a win, even against a Oklahoma State team?
Yeah, and that's a question that only the staff can answer from the outside looking in. I would say no, but we obviously we shall see. And if Connor Wegman is practicing, it seems like he's heading toward the direction of playing. Um, and I think if he's clear, there's no chance you can hold him back. But we will see. And in terms of, like you said, specifically going back to the offense and the struggles, um, the one area that Zion Chris really shined in on Saturday against Texas Tech was his. We know what he can do. He can hurt you when it comes to the rushing attack. Um, but here's a stat that for Houston you don't want to see. You don't want your quarterback leading you in rushing, and most definitely you don't want your lead back in Dean Connors being held to just 2.4 yards per carry. He had 13 carries for 31 yards against Texas Tech. Overall, Texas Tech did a great job just shutting down any type of rushing attack that was not unscripted in the form of Zeon Chris. Once he came in there, was able to make a few plays with his legs. That's going to be something that, again, against Oklahoma State, I want them to challenge the Houston offensive line. But I want Houston to, for their offensive line challenge, like, hey, go out there and go get us some yards, go open up some holes for our running backs, and let us have a rushing attack, especially with whoever's under center. Even if Dean Connors is there, right? I'm sure they don't want him dropping back 20, 30 times after he's coming back less than a week removed from entering concussion protocol. And like it's for the lack of a better phrase, let's put up or shut up time for the offensive line, because if they can't find success against Oklahoma State, now you start to worry when you think of still some of the opponents that they have left with the TCUs of the world, the Baylors of the world, the, like you mentioned, Arizona State, even Arizona at home. Like that could be potential problems if they can't have any type of consistent success up front against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this team will only go as far as the offensive line will take them, and I mean that's something that we've continually said just from the offseason. Uh, but I mean, I think but right now, I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, they really put this unit together in one offseason
Yeah.
via the portal. So I mean, it's a tough situation just on where the program has been overall talent wise, and you bring a group in that you're confident in, and also they're dealing with a lot of injuries, so there's no rotation there either. So it's kind of like they just, I mean, the offensive line essentially has to fend for himself at this point. But I mean, moving forward, I mean, offensive line is a area of urgency in terms of recruiting. And yeah, I mean, if you can't do it in Oklahoma State, who can you do it against? I mean, we've seen they really didn't do much against Oregon State, which is also I mean, at this point, they're not a very good football team. So I mean, I don't know if the reps, if the chemistry, they can gel together and figure it out this week. So I think that would give us more clarity on how to evaluate this team going forward after this game.
Kind of to segue and change a little bit, a couple things that I want to touch on. I don't want to touch too much about it, but I'm curious to get your thoughts. I'm sure you've seen online. Apparently, there was an email sent out today from UH Athletics to some. They have a mailing list, and that email, it was promoting the homecoming game that Houston's going to have with Arizona on October 18th, 11 a.m. kickoff, by the way, on FS1 at TDCU Stadium. But that email was. It was just an error, right? But
Yeah.
it was talking about how they had defeated Texas Tech, and they were really trying to hype up. They didn't even fill in the score. It was XX. UH sent a clarifying email after where it was a third-party mistake that sent it. But I was just curious. Any thoughts on that, or if you had seen it online?
I saw the Instagram post stating that it was a mistake that the email went out. I didn't see the email in my email, and I saw the actual email from I think Joseph posted it on Twitter.
Yes.
But I mean, shit happens. I don't.
Yeah, exactly right. Mistakes happen. Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of Tech fans got that and started jumping in. You know what? It kind of brings me to my other segue, because I really want to focus on the atmosphere from Saturday. We were out there. Shout out to the Cougs and Tailgate before the game. There was a lot of people wearing Houston blue. There was a lot of people in general packed the TDCU Stadium. Granted, there was a lot of Texas Tech fans as well. I don't know. I still have no idea where the hell they snuck in those tortillas from or where they were pulling them out of, because they it seemed like they had an endless supply of tortillas that they kept throwing throughout the game. But that was a really cool moment, and I saw a photo today as well that was from the top of TDCU Stadium, and it kind of made me hate myself for not thinking about going all the way up there and snapping a photo during the game. But just a really cool atmosphere, cool opportunity for Houston fans and just Houston in general, to really show out in a game that they have wanted. This is what UH fans have wanted for years, for honestly for decades, when they were trying to be a part of the back then Power Five conferences, and obviously now Power Four. A really cool moment for UH to kind of showcase its potential when it comes to football. Overall, what are your thoughts on what the atmosphere was like in that game against Texas Tech?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think the UH fans specifically, I think they showed up and they showed out. I mean, a lot of the Tech fans will tell you that they took over the stadium, whatever. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Tech had a good crowd out there. They had a decent outing, um, but I mean, just on their bench side, there was a lot of red on there, but there was also Houston red mixed in there, and also there was Houston blue even on the Tech side.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 3/4 of the stadium, it was mostly Houston blue,
Yeah.
just from what I saw. So, they can continue to run with the notion that the Houston fans don't want to show up to the games, but I think, and then moving forward, I think this is just only a preview on when Houston gets those big time matchups, or even when Houston just plays in general. I mean, the fans will show up. I mean, and this was a 4-0 Houston Cougar team that a lot of people are excited about. So people decide to show up. I mean, you can't ask people to show up for a team that's not, if the product is not good, people aren't going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but we've seen I mean, at least record wise, they've been a good product, so people are paying to come see it. Moving forward, when they get the matchups, when they get big time opponents coming to town, I think people are gonna come see it. And then once there was issues, people, food vendors and parking and all that stuff, but it's gonna come with time. They're gonna be on top of it, I would expect. And I mean, because this is the first time they sold out in 2 years, so
Yeah.
they're not, they don't really. I mean, last year no one came to the games. So, but going forward, yeah, this is what the fans wanted. They wanted to be a power team. They wanted power opponents to come to their house, and hopefully they can get wins versus these power opponents at home, and enhance the product.
Yeah, most definitely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Just in terms of, it was cool as an alum, and like you said last year. Granted, you hit the nail right on the head. If they don't have a good product, it's really hard to sell a product that nobody wants to buy. But I think a lot of the excitement heading into this game against Texas Tech, we did have this 4-0 versus 4-0, 4-0 kind of. I mean, that's how it was being built. They had a really good promotion heading into the game. And listen, not to focus too much on Texas Tech fans, we can close the chapter. But that, so far
The basketball.
out of all these two, well, yeah, that is true. Until we see them down the road later for January 6th, if I'm correct, January 6th is going to be when they face off. But I don't care what Texas Tech fans say. Out of all the Big 12 opponents within the state of Texas, Texas Tech, there's just something about them. I think those are closest to being true rivals. The only thing that's stopping it from being a true rivalry, in my opinion, is the Houston. It just hasn't been able to defeat them. They haven't been able to throw back a counterpunch against them. And I think it's going to happen really soon, especially when you think about the incoming recruiting class for the class of 2026. I hope that UH and Texas Tech face off again next season, because I think it's going to be a much more better game, and I think UH is they're gonna get their get back pretty soon in one of these outings. And if they do match up next season, maybe it'll be next season, whether it be in Lubbock or whether it's again at TDCU Stadium. But that being said, I think it's going to be interesting to see what the turnout is against Arizona, 11 a.m. kickoff. Hopefully the weather is nice. There's supposed to be a cool front that passes this upcoming weekend, so we shall see. Hopefully it's in the 60s and 70s or maybe even 50s. Probably not, but at least
I don't think so.
60s, right? So we shall see, and I'm curious to see if there is kind of again, it comes down to how they look against Oklahoma State. There's going to be a lot of questions that are answered about truly what is the true identity of this Houston Cougars, of the 2025 Houston Cougars football team. Quite frankly, I think they need to go out there on Saturday and they need to kind of have a win like the Texans had against the Ravens. It has to look like that, in my opinion. It can't be like the defense is playing good, the offense still is struggling, and they win high 20s to 10, like 28-10. Now I think Houston has got to be a dominant win, quite frankly, to kind of showcase that. Listen, we're not the same team. Yes, we ran into a better opponent last Saturday in Tech, and we're a good team too. We hit a bump in the road. We're on to our next opponent, and we're gonna be in the top conversations in the Big 12. Which is, if you heard Control Webb talk after the game, he damn near motivated. He said, "Listen, we have a chance to play this team again, and if they were to say, hey, we're gonna restart the game between Houston and Texas Tech," I feel like Webb would have darted out of that room and lined up the way you can tell that it was eating away at him. That being said, I'm tossing it over to you, Kenneth. Final thoughts either about this matchup or what's something that what are you looking forward when it comes to Saturday's matchup against Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking, like you said, they have to go out and win, without a doubt. 30. I mean, at least I would expect at least by three or more scores, and kind of show that identity that I feel like the offense has been looking for. I think as a team they know what their identity is, and I mean that's a good thing. But they haven't necessarily shown it, on tape yet. So kind of lean into that identity, lean into what you want to do. We know what Willie French wants to do. He wants to run the ball, chew up the clock, control the game. So I mean, go out there and do it against Oregon State. I mean, I think that's a team that you can do it against, especially with being a bottom tier defense. That's a team you can run the ball. You have a good backfield. You have Connor Wigman. Can the protection hold up? Can they hold it? Can they create holes big enough for your running backs to get through? So I mean, and then after Oklahoma State, we'll see what they do, and then we'll reevaluate going forward.
Yes, sir. Kenneth, you sounded like a coach right there. Once we get past Oklahoma State, we'll reevaluate and we'll assess. But that's pretty much going to do it for this edition of Pod Slam and Jam, our preview show. Heading into this matchup, this is my time to remind you guys that we will be live after the game at probably about 2 o'clock, maybe 2:30, following Houston, Oklahoma State for Let's Reach Cougs, presented by the Saxenian family. We'll be talking all things that happen in that matchup between your Cougars and the Cowboys. It'll be Dayon, Chris Gardner, and former Houston Cougars running back Bryce Bell, along with myself on the call to break down everything that happened in that game. And this is also my time, my opportunity, that if you are joining us, whether this is for the first time or if you've been with us for several years, first and foremost, big thank you. We appreciate a lot of people that came out to us in the tailgate. And Kenneth, you can attest to this. People just coming up, introducing themselves, and
you got some motion, Andy.
Just giving us love. I appreciate that, Kenneth. Low key, I might screen record and show one of my students. They don't believe me when they say that. Anyways, no. In all seriousness, for everyone that came out to tailgate to stop by and that said that they watched the show, they supported any way, shape, or form, and just say that they listen. I can never say thank you enough. That's truly, truly awesome. It never gets old, and I'm truly grateful for all the support that y'all show, whether it's from a like, a retweet, just by watching the show. I'm gonna forever be grateful. And that being said, there's also an email on screen if you are interested in potentially being a sponsor on this episode here, Pod Time and Jamma. We'll have more shows once basketball season starts. If you're interested in being a sponsor for Let's Rage Cougs during the basketball season, we are the original Houston post-game show after each and every single football and men's basketball show. So season for basketball is going to be starting up here pretty soon, less than a month now,
20
before we
days,
have some
18 days to the exhibition.
Yep, October 26th, I believe, is when that exhibition will be. So pretty soon we'll be having double duty. We'll have a full plate talking about both men's basketball and football come November. So we're excited. And if you are interested, there's the email on the screen. Let's rage cougs at gmail.com. Everything's all lowercase. If you want to help and get Kenneth and the NIL deal, feel free and reach out to him as well. Kenneth, where can people find you? And anything you'd like to plug about what you're working on, either for Coog TV or some of the other outlets you do work for.
Twitter ad and Coog TV, my personal ad and Coog TV ad are at the bottom right there. We got some stuff coming with Coog TV. We got basketball local media day next week, so we're gonna try to get some interviews out with a select few of the players that I have in mind. They seem to be, rocking with us on that aspect. So hopefully we can push some good content out. And then shout out GoCougs.com, of course. And that's it.
Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Pod Time and Jam. Again, big thank you for joining us on this Wednesday night or whenever you may be listening, just for taking the time and checking out this show. We'll see you Saturday afternoon following Houston, Oklahoma State. And as always, got to do it for down, but we always end it on a Go Cougs.